It was a very tedious process. I probably went through 65 people before I hired the first one because I knew the first person was going to have to be the cornerstone, the one that I'm going to build the entire thing around.
All right, what's up, everyone? I'm super excited to be here with my buddy Chuck Allen of Rio Blanco Roofing down in Texas. What's going on, Chuck?
Oh man, just living the dream down here. Beautiful day, beautiful weather, getting to chat with one of the best in the industry. I don't think it gets any better, really.
Man, all right, that's a great start. That's yeah, I like that intro. I'm super excited to dig in. We've connected over the past couple years on different industry panels and podcasts and things like that. And I think your story is really unique. So we wanted to get on here and share it with the audience. And it's all about how to open up a brand new office in a brand new market and really build everything from scratch. So can you give us a little bit of an intro as to who is Chuck Allen? What are you doing here? Why do you have such a fancy podcast set up? Like, I'm kind of jealous. That's awesome.
Well, hey, I'm working on it for sure. Yeah, Chuck Allen. I'm the general manager and part owner here at Rio Blanco Roofing. We've got 3 locations currently, on our way to at least 25 before it's all said and done. That's my plan. But we've currently got San Antonio, which is our flagship, College Station, which is where I'm at here today. And then I've got an office in Tyler, Texas as well. So growing the company, building some leaders and having fun as we do it. It's really been awesome so far.
Wow, I didn't realize you have 3 offices. Okay, that's cool. And just getting started, it sounds like shooting for 25 plus. I love it. Is College Station is that the main office where you normally hang your hat, or where you normally post it up?
San Antonio was our original. About a year and a half in, we opened up this office in College Station, and I did kind of relocate down here. I had previous sales experience in this market, so I figured good opportunity to, reach out to some of my old clients and bring some of that warm market in pretty quickly to get the company up and running. But yeah, I'd say San Antonio is still our main market just because it was the original, and College Station's right there behind it though, nipping on its heels.
Gotcha. Okay. Now you've got Rio Blanco's got a pretty interesting history and a really cool story around how you guys started that we were kind of talking about before we hit record. So can you share that with us?
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, what happened was I was working for a roofing company here in College Station for about 6.5 years. And January of 2019, I just kind of decided that I wanted to do something a little bit different. Reached out to my friends over at ASAP Roofing in Tyler, Texas, Clint Koppel and Joseph Kozel. I started on with the company, actually started working with John Dye over in Indianapolis, which is kind of a cool deal because you and I were on John's podcast last year together. But I went and worked with John in Indy, was there for a couple weeks, and Clint and Joseph came and, told me that they had some other plans for us and wanted to see if I'd have any interest in doing anything else. So me being me, I'm always interested in trying to advance and grow. So I went back to Texas and went to work with them at the ASAP office for about a month. And one evening we're sitting at dinner and they just kind of brought up the opportunity. Hey, there's a roofing company in San Antonio. It's gone out of business. It's basically just sitting there stagnant. There's nothing going on. We want to think about maybe buying it, rebranding it, and putting our systems in place. And wanted to see if Chuck would be the guy that would want to do it. So I went to San Antonio one time for the IRE, I believe, back in 2011 or 12 or something like that. So I knew all about San Antonio. I'd spent about 3 hours there in my life. Based on that, I made the decision, let's do it. I don't think there was anything more scary or exciting than that conversation, because once you commit to it, you're in 100%. And I've always believed in myself, but a company that's out of business that's a pretty big deal. That's kind of tough to resurrect and rebrand and then grow from what it was. But we did it so far. We've opened up the 2 other offices and building our team up. I've got 25 people on the team right now. So I think we're responsible for a couple hundred mouths being fed. And at the end of the day, that's why we do what we do. I want to help people support their families and, maybe get opportunities that they didn't think were even possible, like what I got.
Wow, that's cool. On that last note, I mean, I've interviewed a lot of people on this podcast and we're just kind of getting started too, but I would say pretty much all of the leaders, all of the companies, the owners that have really big companies, that's exactly what they're focused on. They're focused on building a team of people, providing opportunities, providing upward earning potential and career opportunities, providing for their families, and helping them develop professionally as well as personally. And that's really what drives them. The money is a byproduct, growing the business is a byproduct of that, but that's what most people focus on, which is really cool to hear that coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, that's definitely our mindset. I always tell everyone, we're a personal development and branding company that just happens to do roofs. That's our vehicle. It's a great vehicle. We help a lot of homeowners throughout the course of any given year. But the truth of the matter is, we are focused more on personal growth, building the leaders in our organization, and making everybody just into better people. And, at that point, whatever happens, happens. If you can just help someone be a better person today than they were yesterday, then, it was worth it. That's the way I look at it.
I love that. That's so cool. Now back to the beginning of what you said. So Rio Blanco was this old kind of stagnant company that was just sitting there and you guys bought it, or it was bought. Like, what is there to actually buy with a company like that? Is it the name? Is it like a past customer list? Were there any is there any equipment or assets or anything like that? Like, how does that work?
It was a little bit of all of that. In honesty, it was a very small company. Rio Blanco was basically a one-man show. I think he might have had one sales guy and a crew. So we got a limited customer list. There was, when it goes out of business, there obviously wasn't enough customers to keep it going. So we looked at the online reputation. The one thing that they did really, really well was take care of their customers. Just maybe not as profitable as it needed to be, or whatever the reasoning was behind it. So we bought that online reputation. We bought the SEO stuff, the address, the logo. And then basically we just started rebranding the entire thing. There's no representation of the previous Rio Blanco with us. It's a completely different beast, and it's been a lot of fun. But we did get the logo. As you can see, I'm quite fond of our logo. I've got glow in the dark paintings and stuff like that all over my office. But that was kind of the deal. We just we bought a little bit of a name. I guess there was some value to it, even though it was kind of small and really unknown. But that was kind of the deal. Just a little bit of a jump start, I guess, versus starting from scratch.
Gotcha. Yeah, not starting from zero. That helps, of course. All right. And so you went down there. You don't know San Antonio really at all, and you're tasked with like building this company, basically. So the way I view it is there's from a building perspective, there's obviously a lot that goes into it, but you got to build a customer base, and you got to build a team, and then you've got to build relationships with. You got to find crews, you got to find the suppliers, the vendors, everyone who's going to support production, everything like that. So, I mean, we could probably do a whole series on this, but can you kind of break it down as to what your first steps were, how you went about that? And I think this would be relevant for anyone who's starting their company from scratch. Maybe you're a sales rep and you want to go out on your own, or maybe you're coming from outside the industry and you want to start up, which we've seen a lot. Or maybe you've got an office in one location and you're looking to add your second location. So I want to try to impart some of your wisdom on the audience.
Yeah, definitely. So basically, when I moved to San Antonio, I did not know a soul there. I had been there for just a couple minutes one time for a conference. Our company is heavily branded in social media. So what I did was I went down there and I friend requested the first 1,500 people that I could get from San Antonio. And then I just started inundating their Facebook timelines with just a bunch of stuff. Rio Blanco Roofing, I'm here. This is the best company in the world. This is who you want to work with. I got some stuff with my crew. And honestly, the first call I got from a customer in San Antonio was based on the fact that I took a picture of myself at a birthday party with my roofing crew. And the guy just thought that was cool. He said, man, I can't believe the owner of the company was hanging out with the crew. That shows that you really care about your people and you really care about, the overall culture with your company. And that's the kind of guy I want to work with. So I got my first job just based off of a random social media post. And that gentleman has given me 3 or 4 referrals since then. So that was kind of my initial start. We got hit with a pretty decent hailstorm about maybe a month in. And by the grace of God, one of the original customers from the previous Rio Blanco had called. And I went over and took care of him, and he ended up giving me 5 houses as well. So social media, and I got really lucky with just, like I said, the previous company had a good reputation. They did good work. This guy just happened to live in one of the biggest communities in San Antonio. And I went over and I just told him the truth. I said, we're not the same company. I'm a completely different guy. My pickup truck had ASAP Roofing serving Indianapolis stickers and decals all over it. So I said, it's not the same deal, but trust me, we're better than the old deal because we're here. And, it just started rolling from there. You get the one house, you do the deal with the 6-pack with the neighbors, you start roofing the neighbors' houses, you start getting referrals. Next thing you know, the thing's rolling pretty well. The hailstorm was definitely a blessing for us because that gave us, ample work opportunity, and we were able to get out and start doing it. But that was really just me at that point. It was an empty building and myself trying to get the thing rolling. I didn't really have anybody on my team until about 3 months in. So it was really organic. It was all 100% done through social media, just random, posts. And thankfully the 1,500 people that I friend requested, most of them accepted me. So that was kind of a unique way of going about it. But it worked. And I'm very grateful for that. It was a great lesson for me on how to build a franchise or a brand or whatever you want to call it from scratch and to get a pretty good following. And I'm at the point now with Rio where we're pretty well known. Everybody across the country, I go to RCAT or I go to Lee Hates conference in Miami, and I had everybody coming up saying, hey man, you're doing great. You're killing it. We see what you're doing. It all started from me just randomly on a Sunday afternoon, deciding to friend request a bunch of strangers. And luckily they were, pretty open to being friends.
All right. I that's amazing. I laugh because I never heard that before. So you're literally just find people in that San Antonio area. You're just going in on Facebook and requesting to be friends.
Yeah, pretty much. And, once I started getting a little bit of traction with that, I start mentioning Rio Blanco 6,000-7,000 times a day. And, it just grew from that. It was crazy. I think our Facebook page had 11 followers, and I think we're close to 2,000 now for the main page. So it was all built organically. It was all just through hard work and just repetition. And, the key is being consistent and, just staying in front of people, getting that top of mind awareness. And that's really how I built the brand with Rio Blanco. That was it. There's no secret. It was just that.
Cool. Man, we speak the same language. Top of mind awareness, consistency, social media. That's so cool about that first job that you got, taking that picture at a birthday party with your crew. And that's one of the really, and you probably know what I'm about to say here. That's one of the best strategies that any roofing company can implement, which is document what you're doing. You don't have to sit there in a studio like Chuck, creating podcasts and everything. Chuck's going to kill it because he's putting in that time and investment and effort, but just simply document what you're doing, right? You're out there with your team, you're going to happy hour, you're going to lunch, you're on the job, you're doing an inspection, you're at your supplier, at the supply house. So those are all opportunities to, just pick up this thing right here, this marketing machine that we have in our hands, and just say, hey, here's what we're doing, and show people in your market that you're a real company. And I talk about this all the time. Obviously you know that Rio Blanco is a real legit company. A lot of people in San Antonio do as well, and in your 3 markets. But people who have never heard of you, have never heard of Chuck, or have never heard of Rio Blanco, they don't know if you're just literally Chuck in a truck, or if you've got 25 people and you're a legit company with a trusted brand and everything. So you've got to show proof and evidence that you're legit, because you've got to build that trust. People don't want to hire the guy who's just starting out if they don't have a lot of trust that he knows what he's doing or she knows what she's doing. So that trust is huge. And all those little posts that you put out there, all those little things you're doing, showing the jobs that you're working on, they lower the risk of someone taking a chance on you, right? There's less of a risk there because they can see evidence that you're working with people just like them and on houses just like theirs. So that's such a huge lesson there. And it's so cool that you got that the first job from that guy from seeing that picture.
Yeah. And, the truth of the matter is when we do our content, a lot of it's not even relative to the roofs that we're doing. It's more personal stuff. So you can kind of feel like our team, and we feature all of our people prominently. We've got a social media consultant. We've got a studio. We've got a film crew who can put really nice high level things together. And we promote our staff. We promote our sales team. So, if you see us on social media, you feel like you know us way before you actually meet us. And, the whole adage is that people buy from people they like. So let's be as likable as we possibly can up here on social media so that when we do meet, you just know, hey, this is someone I really want to work with. They're genuine. The stuff doesn't change. They look like they're having fun all the time and really enjoy being around each other. And, so far it's been great. That's really been the biggest marketing advantage that I've ever known is just, I'm not taking pictures of roofs. It's not before and after. It's not a bunch of that stuff. It's, hey, my team's at Topgolf today. My team is having lunch. We're doing cool stuff together as a group. We love each other and we're just a big family. And, that's the kind of people I want to buy from. So I want to make sure that we represent that so that everybody feels the same way about us.
Yeah, I love that. And I got to give a shout out to my friends down there at Texas Family Roofing in San Antonio. They do a lot of the same things. They're showing pictures of what they're doing and videos and this and that. And it's truly a family atmosphere. And it's like, if I were in San Antonio, like now I know you, so I'd have to pick between you guys and Texas Family, but I'd want those guys to do my roof because, they're fun and they're, it's just, I guess it's hard to explain, but you have that trust factor and it just makes the decision a lot easier.
It really does. If I wasn't in the roofing industry and I didn't have my own company that I believe to be the very best, I would hire the dude that's dancing on the TikTok video up on the roof, which is Eric over there. I love their content. I watch them. I follow those guys. Like they always say, game recognizes game or whatever the quote is. And I respect what they're doing because we are separating ourselves in a very saturated market and just having a fun time doing it. And like you said, either company is going to be a great choice. You're going to have a cool experience and you're going to have fun with it. So I think it's amazing. Those guys do a great job.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So you're 3 months in before you have your first kind of team members. It's in the office, you're selling from an ASAP truck from Indianapolis. So how do you go about building out that team? Where do you find those first key team members?
It was a very tedious process. I probably went through 65 people before I hired the first one because I knew the first person was going to have to be the cornerstone, the one that I'm going to build the entire thing around. I'll never forget it. I mean, I interviewed so many different people and people from within the industry, people from other industries. None of them really stood out until this guy, Jeremy, who is my branch manager down in San Antonio right now, showed up. We had to have our interview at a restaurant because I honestly didn't even have furniture in the office still at that point, and it was a little embarrassing. So I had to sell the dream over the actual substance at that point. And I found the perfect guy. He showed up 15 minutes early wearing a suit, and we sat there and talked for probably 2 hours. And I said, look, man, I'm going to be real with you. This is just getting started. It's going to be huge, but it's definitely not huge right now. This first year is going to be a major struggle trying to build this. And much to my surprise, Jeremy at that point said, well, let's do it. Let's go back to the office and fill the paperwork out now. And he's been loyal to Rio Blanco ever since. Definitely my number one draft pick, was the best guy I could have gotten to start it with. I was able then to kind of work with him, teach him the nuances of our industry, teach him about materials and sales and so on. And then we were able to bring on a couple more people from there. Some worked, some didn't. And, now I think Jeremy's got 4 or 5 sales reps in his office plus himself. But finding that first guy was crucial. And I just got lucky, honestly. It took me 65 tries to find the right one, but I knew immediately that this was a guy that was going to be good. If I could maintain a atmosphere where he could actually make a living until it got to be, lucrative, then we'd be good to go. And, fortunately, he was good with money, was able to kind of get through those struggles of starting a brand new company and having zero experience, zero pipeline. But he was in the entertainment industry, so he had a lot of friends from, he was a bartender. So a lot of high level real estate agents, insurance agents, things like that. And Jeremy was able to parlay that over when we got hit with hail into a pretty darn good year as a sales rep. So it was a combination of luck and just I think the timing was perfect with that deal. We built the company out since then, and now I've got 3 branch managers. We've got sales reps in all the offices, but that first guy was key. If you get the wrong first guy, it's an uphill climb. So I got lucky. I think that someone's been watching this as I'm doing it, and I'm avoiding disasters by the grace of God, I think. So it's been awesome.
That's cool. All right, I'm counting. You've said that we're lucky 4 times so far. And I agree, with building a business, there's a certain amount of luck that's necessary for sure. But you put in the work. Like you went through 65 people before you found Jeremy. And most people, including myself, honestly, probably aren't going to do that, right? We wait until we need someone, and then we go out and look, and we kind of maybe sometimes settle on the first person that kind of fits the bill. But it sounds like you refused to settle, and you knew how important that first draft pick was, so to speak. And so, yeah, maybe you got a little bit lucky that he came along. He's got this experience being an outgoing person in the hospitality industry, but you put in the work of going through 65 people. And that's something that pretty much no one's doing. I see all these posts on social media like, hey, we're hiring sales reps, we're hiring here. And it's basically like if you've got a heartbeat and you've got most of your teeth, then you're good to go. You've got a job. Here's a polo shirt and a hat. Go sell some roofs. And people wonder why it's hard to build a team and retain a team. So I think that the secret there is to actually put in the work. And what is it? Luck happens when hard work meets
With preparation. That's
meets
it. Yeah.
something like that. Yeah. Something. I just totally butchered that quote, but yeah, the harder you work, the luckier you get. There's a simple one that I can remember.
Yeah, crazy formula. And that's exactly what it was. I just, if you screw that first one up, it's going to be really tough to overcome. We screwed up a few since then and have had guys that weren't quite perfect fits, but just being able to sell the guy on the dream itself. Honestly, the biggest selling point I had at that point had nothing to do with the roofing company. It was our online training platform. And I said, hey, we've got Lightspeed VT that's built directly for our company. We've done all the training platforms in-house. We can make you a superstar. And we also had Grant Cardone Sales University. And that was the selling point to get my first guy in the door. I said, it's going to get huge. We're going to provide you every opportunity to be the absolute best. And, Jeremy that's what he was looking for. He bought into the dream, and, here we are 2+ years later, and he's running our main office down there in San Antonio like a champion, doing a great job. And I can't wait to see what the future is 5 years down the road. I'm going to make sure I bring that dude with me every step. So I can't say how much I appreciate it because he's just been solid.
That's so cool. Yeah. And that's another thing about hiring is it's not about, hey, you can make, you see a lot of posts again, you can make $100,000 in a year or something like that. You might attract some people like that, but when you attract the right people, when you have the potential for them to build a bigger future than they currently have, they have upward earning potential. Maybe they can get into leadership and training and things like that. And like you said, they're your personal development company. So that's awesome. I love that. So you've got your customer base, you've got your social media going, the guerrilla marketing there. You've got Jeremy starting to build a team there, starting to get some traction. And then starting out, you're going into a brand new city. How do you find roofing crews? Like, how do you figure out which supplier to go to? And how do you figure out, like, okay, you sell a roof, then there's all these other things you need to do to actually put the roof on. So how do you put those pieces together?
Well, I think I was pretty fortunate. I'll use fortunate this time instead of lucky, in that I was in this Texas market in College Station for several years before I did the Rio Blanco deal. And I also used to run a roofing supply company. For 15 years, I was in distribution. So I know a lot of people on that side of the business. I kind of understand how that works, probably more than most roofing company owners do, just because I built a roofing supply company from scratch in Charlotte, North Carolina in 2010. So I understood, okay, you need to make these relationships early. You need to find the right people to work with, and you need to be loyal to them, because the more loyalty on that side of things that you feel from your supplier, the more apt you are to continue working with them. You feel comfortable knowing that you can tell your homeowner something and they're going to deliver it for you just like you promised. So I had some previous relationships before I even got into the deal. As with roofing crews, it was the same thing. San Antonio's about 3 hours from Houston. I knew probably 50 roofing crews based out of Houston that were calling me when I was in Indianapolis, even wanting to come work with me there, because I treated them well. Over the course of time, you see how hard the crews are working. They get treated one of two ways by everybody. It's either they're treated like kings or they're treated like garbage. And I've always been one that respected them, because in my 15 years in distribution, that included a lot of time driving a truck and actually roof loading houses. I drove a conveyor truck for 12 years. So the physical labor aspect was never lost on me. I think a lot of people get into this and don't really accept or understand how hard these guys work. And you can come off as kind of a little bit arrogant or whatever, thinking, well, why aren't you guys getting this roof done faster? Or, what the hell's wrong with you? You guys are lazy. You're laying under a tree at 2:00 in the afternoon, not taking into account the fact that it's peak heat. We're working on asphalt shingles. All kinds of weird things can happen in those conditions. So I understood all of that, and I have had no problem with roofing crews. I get roofing crews calling me constantly. I've got great teams at all of our offices that work well together. I've got a great affiliation with our supply companies, with our manufacturers. I work with Atlas primarily, and I could call Stan Bastek at Atlas probably right now, and he'd answer the phone and answer a question for me. So those relationships were built over the 17 plus years before I got into doing what we're doing now. And I think I had an unfair advantage because of that. But again, that was putting in the work. That was doing the deliveries for all those years, making friends in the industry, making friends with reps, understanding how everything works on that side, and then being able to apply that to what we're doing so that we can be a good partner to our distribution channels. I don't want them to think of us as, oh, great, Rio Blanco, they've got another need. I like the fact that, they go above and beyond for us. They appreciate what we do. We get treated like we're much bigger than we really are at this point. And I like that. That means the world to me. I mean, I work with Southern Shingles, SRS primarily, and they've been good to me for many, many years, and Atlas has been good to me for almost 20 years. So just having those prior relationships made it almost a seamless transition, as crazy as that seems.
Okay. Well, yeah, like you said, you put in the work, you've got that industry experience. So that certainly helped. All right. So we've got marketing, we've got the customer base, the team, the suppliers and whatnot. People aren't really going to believe us if you're sitting here saying everything went completely smooth, right? So are there things that maybe you wish you would have done differently, or things that maybe took longer than you expected, or just like you didn't expect at all?
Yeah, there's always going to be stuff that you don't have any expectations of. And I remember when I left the ASAP office in Tyler on my way to San Antonio, the last thing I said was, you don't know what you don't know. I'm ready to dive in and see. There were some surprises along the way. Obviously, having to interview 60 plus people before you get the first one was not my expectation. But that's the cards we were dealt. Had a couple little hiccups here or there, some of the basic stuff that you have to deal with, getting our mailbox stuff taken care of, and getting some of the previous Rio Blanco accounts taken out, and replaced with us. But to be honest, that was all learning experiences. The mistakes I made the first time were not made the second or third. So I don't know that I'd change any of it because it was all a lesson. Nothing was really major. I never burned down the building or, had anybody get really upset at us for anything. So it was pretty good. Just, a couple little road hiccups here or there. But again, having ASAP and their infrastructure behind me supporting us throughout the whole thing, this would have been probably a disaster if I tried to do it myself, and it probably would have went out of business again real quick. I was blessed to have the opportunity to work with a company that had already scaled to 20 million plus in just 4 years. So they understood how to do it, put those systems into place. I've got the backing of that entire organization. We got hit with a hailstorm and I had 22 sales reps here in College Station the next day. They, from ASAP and all the branches we have. So having that support has been huge. I definitely would not have changed any of that. The little things that happened along the way were just kind of character building. So I can't think of anything I'd really want to do different. I think my whole path has been really weird, going from a truck driver to opening a shop to completely relocating to another part of the country and starting over and doing all that stuff. It's been a weird path, but I definitely don't think I'd be sitting here without it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's great perspective, really. And I think the thing that I wrote down in my book here is don't make the same mistake twice, right? We make mistakes, we fail, you learn from them and move on. And if you keep making the same mistake over and over again, then you've got an issue there. And that's a big risk.
Yeah, I think that's the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing again and again and expecting a different result. So anytime we've made a mistake, I've always joked and said, I've made every mistake at least once, but I've never made any of them more than once. So there's probably 3 or 4 I can still screw up somewhere throughout the course of my life, but I try to learn from them and get better and move forward. And, so far that served us pretty well.
All right. I love that. So Chuck, this has been awesome. You're just pouring into the audience here and I'm learning and I'm taking down notes here in my book. So thank you. I appreciate it. So now when you guys have San Antonio and now you've got College Station, you've got Tyler, can you give us some insight as to how the decision is made to open up an additional location? Like when you think you're ready, when you're just kind of ready to pull the trigger, you're confident in that succeeding?
Yeah, it's been kind of unique. San Antonio, to be honest, if you would have asked me in March of 2019, I'd probably say, hopefully by the end of 22, I'm going to have my second office and I'll have this one built. It hit a lot faster than I was anticipating. As far as choosing locations, we picked Tyler because it is close to the ASAP corporate office over there. We've got the ability to, utilize some of the resources that they have at their office. We've got a standalone location, so we're a separate entity altogether, but having that up there so you can kind of be closer to the parent company is a good thing. College Station to me was a no-brainer because I'd been here for about 7 years selling, developed a pretty good reputation, and I had a pretty good warm market built. So I was gone for a couple years, came back. It was like we had never left. And then obviously San Antonio was just pre-existing. So we're looking at our next opportunities now here in Texas. I want to have 5 of them, and basically I'm gonna use the College Station as like the spoke and kind of build out about 200 miles on either direction. So the next one we're looking at is over in Conroe or the Woodlands area. So we're just outside of Houston, looking at Kerrville, maybe Bernie, Texas, some of those little outskirt areas that have a lot of opportunity, but maybe don't have a whole lot of competition either. So that's kind of the way we look at it. I want to look for emerging markets. College Station is getting ready to explode again with growth and development. And, we're not going to put one out in the middle of a cornfield anywhere. We're going to do our research. We're going to look at the stats as far as, what we do. Obviously we like to rely somewhat on Mother Nature to provide us opportunities. So you want to look at the history and see, hey, what could potentially show up here for us? How can we, benefit from each location? And so far it's been good. I mean, I can't wait to grow, 10, 15, 20 of them and start to spread out into different regions of the country and then really get to do that analytic and look at things and really make your decision based on all that knowledge.
That's super exciting, man. I can feel your passion for that. That's so cool. And I'm excited to watch that journey unfold and see how many you guys open in the next few years. So you've got a lot of industry experience, supply and obviously ownership management, things like that. You are very well connected in the industry, and it's very common for a roofing company to open up a location, a new location, try to expand maybe too quickly sometimes. Do you have any thoughts on like why additional locations or new markets for companies fail? Like what are some of the failure points there?
I do. And honestly, each new office that we've started, we've kind of built the same way. I started here with one guy who I had previous experience working with that I knew I could trust. And he kind of got the ball rolling for us. Very small skeleton crew while we were getting started. But I had relationships here with property managers and things like that who gave me a book of business that we were able to kind of get started with. And again, that's a huge opportunity because not everybody gets a list with 300 or 400 houses and get told, "Hey, you're my guy. Go out and see what you can do with it." So beating the streets, door knocking wasn't something that we had to do, which was great because that's a tough way to get your reputation built and get your name out there. We were able to get 20 to 25 houses up pretty quick. Our yard signs were out and about. I drive a ridiculously neon green wrapped Rio Blanco truck. So people start to see you, they start to recognize the name, and it starts to, come more to the forefront. We did all of our SEO stuff with Google. So we're up at the top and, all that good stuff. But, really this has just been basically, get that first piece in place and then build around it. And we've done that with all 3 offices so far. I think a lot of companies, they try to get too big too quick. I've seen businesses that come in and they're going to just set the world on fire. And we just bought a fleet with 10 new trucks and we're going to give our sales guys all this stuff and everything's going to be awesome. And I think a lot of times they don't take into account the fact that there's not a pipeline, and it's very easy to overextend yourself in this deal. And, once that happens, it's very hard to get out. So I think expansion too rapidly is really the biggest issue with a lot of companies. And, I admire anybody that wants to grow and be the biggest one right off the bat. But at the same time, common sense tells you that doesn't always work.
Right. Yeah, that pipeline is huge. And that gives you that predictability that you can say, okay, we've got this pipeline, we've got this customer base or this market, we've got these warm relationships. We can go out and maybe buy some trucks and we can hire some people and we can invest in marketing and really make a go of this. So that predictability is huge.
Yeah. And you have to be able to forecast. And if you can't do that, then you're going to be shocked, when you get hit in the face with a frying pan called reality. And it's like, oh man, I owe 60,000 in truck payments and we haven't put a roof up yet. It's got to be an uncomfortable feeling. And I'm very, very grateful again that I had ASAP. They've been outstanding to me, treated me like a member of the family since day one, and they've invested into this company. If it was just me, like I said, there's no way any of this happens because I just don't have the resources to do it on my own. So that partnership was the greatest thing that ever happened. Their willingness to build this brand with me and make Rio Blanco a nationally recognized name. It's been, the absolute greatest blessing of all.
That's awesome. I love that. I love the gratitude that is so obvious with everything that you're talking about here. That's so key with everything in life. And one of the things I wanted to mention is before you talked about when you brought on Jeremy, you had this Lightspeed training platform. You had Grant Cardone. So in addition to your having those warm relationships and having the industry experience, it sounds like Rio Blanco has some pretty good systems that enable you to go into new markets and basically duplicate what you've already got instead of, winging it and just trying to put all these random pieces together. So can you talk about some of those key systems that you guys have?
Absolutely. The training, like I said, it's Lightspeed VT. It's the highest level that you could possibly get. And it was all done in-house. Basically, every step that you could possibly need to be successful is included in this university. I think there's 500 or 600 videos that cover literally everything, from your first day on the job to closing $1 million deals on commercial projects. Everything in between is there. So when we bring people on, I tell them, if you put in the work and you take the time to improve yourself, there is absolutely no excuse. There's no reason why you can't be a top performer. We've invested our time, our money, and our energy into these programs, into having guest speakers, John Paramore, Mike Code, guys like that come into our office and speak and motivate and help, with the mindset. But the fact of the matter is, there is no weakness as far as the training goes. If you're on a job site and you don't know about something, you can literally pull your phone out, you can watch a quick video, refresh yourself, and understand what you're talking about. And I mean, with that comes more confidence. A new person, when they come in, it takes a while to build confidence. This is a crushing industry. And it's hard to take no as an answer over and over again, especially when you're trying to break in, you're trying to get yourself going. A lot of people lose their confidence really quickly. I think that kind of helps boost their confidence, knowing, hey, even though I've only been doing this a couple weeks, I don't know the answer right off the top of my head, but here, let's look it up right here with you. And, I think it separates our company from a lot of our I don't like the word competition because I don't view anybody as competition other than myself. But, some of the other companies in town or in our markets aren't doing that. And it really does separate you. I mean, you can tell a professional from someone that just basically, like you said, was handed some cards and kicked into a neighborhood.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a sales rep going out there, I think it can be easy to feel like you're on an island, you're all alone. And I guess your guys, your reps, your team members, they have a system behind them. They have a team behind them. So it probably makes them feel less like they're all alone and they've got to figure everything out. They've got all these resources to, like you said, if they just show up and put in the work, then I mean, there's no guarantees in life, but there's a high probability that they're going to be a top performer and they're going to continue to improve. So that's really cool to hear. 500 videos. Wow. I don't think we're a training company, and we're not at that level. So got something to shoot for.
Well, you're familiar with our owner, Joseph Kozel, and Jojo is one of the busiest people that I've ever known. And he is the most complete human being. Like when he starts a project, it is going to be far exceeding anybody's expectations, and he's going to see it through to the very end. So, I mean, of those 500 videos, I think he did about 470 of them. And that just goes to show the kind of people that I'm working with, the effort that they're willing to put forth to build their company, to build the culture, to show that we're going to be better than anybody else that you're going to talk with. We're going to be the most proficient, the most prepared. We've got everything that we need because we've invested into this deal and we've put everything that we have back into building that next layer of leadership so I can continue to grow this company and ASAP can continue to grow, knowing that the owners are willing to do that and make those investments. Cardone University for 100 people is not cheap. We do trips together. Like a couple weeks ago, the whole company went to Broken Bow, Oklahoma. And, we're talking 100, 150 people in total, knowing that the company owners are willing to invest into the team, into the culture. That's the biggest thing, because not every roofing company is willing to do that. There's a lot of them that don't. There are several that do that are on the right path. But I think that really boosts morale, just knowing that you're part of a bigger thing than just you being a roofing salesman. And, like I said before, we do roofs, but it's more of a growth and development company. We're more of a branding deal now. And we just happen to put on the best roofs everywhere we go to.
That's a killer combination. I love that. No limits with that combination right there.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for sharing that, Chuck. Is there anything that I didn't ask or we didn't cover about setting up and building a new office in a new market and just getting all the pieces together?
I think we covered it pretty well. I mean, obviously my path was a little bit unique, and I don't know that I'd recommend to anybody else to try to do like that. I view myself as a little bit crazy, but I believe in myself 150%. So when I thought about doing it, it didn't even cross my mind that it couldn't maybe work or that there could be some issues. But unique path. Like you said, not everybody can just walk into a place where they've never been, which is one of the harder markets in the country, and just start Facebook friending people, and What would have happened if none of them accepted my friend request? Who knows? Maybe Rio Blanco doesn't exist at this point, but just, like I said, putting in that effort, making sure that you get your name out in front of as many people as you can, doing stuff like what we're doing here, it can only be beneficial to you, and I want people to feel like they know me before they meet me. Because that's half the battle. If they don't like you, they're not going to buy from you. If they like you before you get there and they feel like they know you, shoot, man, that if you don't get those deals, you stink. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, that's so key. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I mean, I think obviously we're a marketing training company, and we talk marketing and we interact with the industry on a marketing level every day, all day. And the biggest point of frustration is that roofing company owners, leaders, sales reps, they expect to just put out some random sales messages like free inspection, free estimate, free quote, whatever. And they expect property owners to say, yeah, I want to work with you. And they've done none of that work to get people to know them. So that's probably the biggest difference between success with marketing and building a customer base and building a brand and falling flat on your face. You've got to get people to know you before they need a roof, before they get to your website, before they fill out that contact form to request an estimate or inspection. So that's key. So everyone listening, watching, please take that seriously, because that's what we see every day, and that's what Chuck is living and breathing right now, and that's how he's built this company. So thanks for sharing that, Chuck.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure. I love talking about this. This is great.
All right, let's wrap it up. Let's start to wrap it up here. We'll do a quick lightning round with some fun questions here, some fun quick questions if you're open to that.
Always.
All right. So you've mentioned personal development. We've been talking personal development throughout this podcast, professional development as well. What are some of the key resources, maybe people that you kind of tune into on a regular basis to make sure that you're staying sharp and making sure that you're improving, 1% every day?
Yeah, I follow a lot of people in our industry. One of our key consultants with ASAP and Rio is Mike Code. He's got Roofing Salesman and Roofing Salesman University. I wouldn't have anything that I have right now if it weren't for Mike. I was almost out of the industry when I met this guy, and this Rio Blanco was actually his original client, so he had some unfinished business. I was honored to be the one that they chose to do it. But Mike Code, he's absolute gold. He's someone that I recommend to anybody in this industry because his stuff is next level education. But he's also not afraid to tell you if you're slacking and if you need to pick it up a little bit. So it's good to have those kind of friends. I really enjoy Lee Haight as well. I like his videos that he puts out, and his podcasts are really good. Our mutual friends, John Dye, I've known John for many years. He's very well built into this industry as well. So guys like that I know, there are quite a few people that I talk to on any given day, roofing company owners from across the country that just reach out and maybe have a question or just want to chat or need a little advice. So I tell everybody I'm always open. If anybody wants to touch base, we're an open book. A lot of roofing owners are trying to hold all their secrets close. But at the end of the day, if we can help your company be a little bit better and it can better our industry as a whole, then why not? 20 plus years in, that's kind of my goal right now. It's not about the money. It's about helping younger people, giving people an opportunity. And if I can help some other roofing company owners, by all means, that's what it's all about. Making quality friends and working with good people throughout the country is my big thing.
Love it. Love it. Awesome stuff. What is the current book that you're reading?
Oh, current book. I read a lot. So I just started one, which is kind of, I don't want to say vanilla or generic or whatever, but it's Go Live by Jeffrey Gitomer, which basically is just kind of talking about the importance of social media, getting yourself out there and being uncomfortable, being on camera, making yourself personable and relatable to your markets and to your audience. So that's what I'm on right now. I've got about 10 more ready to go once I'm done, but that's the one I'm working on as of today.
All right. Gotcha. I've heard of Jeffrey. I haven't heard of the book, so maybe I'll check it out, but maybe I won't because it's kind of vanilla.
Yeah, I mean, no offense to Jeff, he's a good dude, but
No, that's key. Like you don't have to love every book you read. You don't have to even finish every book you read. I'm a big fan of that, right? Like time is valuable, life is short. There's so many books out there. I don't want to waste time reading a book that's not going to be impactful or enjoyable or both.
yep.
So how about I'm big on I'm a big believer and practitioner of daily habits, discipline, morning routine, things like that. Do you have a morning routine or do you have daily habits that you stick to every day?
I do. I wake up at 4:30 every single morning, whether it's, Monday or Sunday. There's no alarm. It's my internal clock, but I get up at 4:30. By 5 a.m., I'm typically out the door doing my morning exercise. Try to get in like at least a 3-mile walk / run in the morning. And that's been huge to me. I've lost almost 70 pounds since last September. We were
Whoa.
doing a conference and I was a keynote speaker, and the picture was so disgusting. My head looked like a giant balloon. And I just decided at that point, man, I let myself go and I didn't like what I saw. So I started implementing this routine. It's literally every single day. I'll do a minimum of 3 miles. Most days I'll do morning and evening. So I get 6 miles a day. And that's helped me, but it's your constant thing. I get up at 4:30. I'm out the door by 5. By 6:30, I'm back. I'm ready to get to the office and do my thing. I'm usually here, before 7 a.m. And I don't open my office door until 9 because I want to get all my stuff done before I deal with everybody else. And from that, it's basically a free for all. But that first 4 hours of my day is very well structured. The rest of the day, it looks like I don't do anything because I just basically hop around and put out fires or go see people and have fun. But yeah, I've got a very structured morning for sure. And I think that's been huge for me, especially over the last 6 to 8 months, just feeling better, physically, emotionally, just I have more energy now based on that too. So it's been really good. And we've got a great group that holds ourselves accountable. I've got friends all over the country that are kind of on the same journey. So we hold each other accountable. We post a picture of what we did in the morning. And if I see my buddy Kevin Burrell did 3 miles and I didn't do 3 miles, I feel like crap and I go home and do 4 miles that night. So having accountability is cool. Having high level friends that'll make sure that you hold yourself and them accountable is even better. So that's kind of my routine.
That's cool. Thanks for sharing. Wow, 70 pounds in less than a year, right? That's
Well, it
incredible.
was terrible that I had 70 pounds to lose. I'm still a little bit fat.
Yeah.
That's the worst part of it. I still got a couple more to go, but 70 was big for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I totally resonate with seeing a picture of yourself or seeing yourself in a video. That's happened to me before. I've never had to lose 70, but 10 or 15 or something like that. And I've heard so many people say that same thing. Like it wasn't until I saw this picture of me from the side or, on vacation, I'm like, man, is that really me? Like it's such an eye opener to kind of see yourself somewhat objectively like that. So
yeah. And I was putting
really
myself
cool.
on camera at that point, and it's like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I was oblivious to the fact that I looked so terrible. And it was about the content at that point.
Exactly. Yeah, I hear you. And I'm a big morning routine guy as well. And it's like, hey, you've got those first 4 hours. After those first 4 hours, you've already pretty much won the day. You've got your physical in. You're doing your important work by yourself with the office door shut, and then anything that comes beyond that is kind of gravy on top. And I have the same thing. My calendar is blocked off till a certain point every single day. And you got to focus on winning. Otherwise, it could be complete chaos. You never get anything done. And everyone I've studied that I kind of look up to or read about, like having that structured routine is a common denominator among pretty much everyone. So take that into account, anyone listening or watching this. Now let's go to the other side of that coin, Chuck. I know that you like to post some pictures of, going out to eat and all that stuff. What's your favorite meal?
All right. Now, this is something I had to put some thought into. My favorite meal, there's a place in San Antonio called Smash and Crab. And I'm a huge seafood guy. I could eat seafood every day for the rest of my life and be fine. But this is like next level seafood. You can get the crawfish boil. You can get these giant king crab legs and shrimp and sausage and potatoes and all that. Every time I'm in San Antonio, I'm going to stop and eat lunch at Smash and Crab. I'm going to be there next week, and I already know what I'm having Monday for lunch. So that's the spot, Smash and Crab. If you ever want to send me a gift certificate or anything for that plug, the food's not cheap. I'd be happy to take it, but it's worth the price. So if you're ever in San Antonio, check out Smash and Crab.
All right. Love it. Well, hey, anyone watching and listening, if you've gotten value from this podcast, then go get a gift card and send it to Chuck.
There you go.
And get him a lunch there. He's provided a lot of value here. So I'll have to check that out. I've only been to San Antonio one time. I did not hit that place up. I didn't know about it, but I'll make sure that it's on the list.
Absolutely. You will not be sorry.
All right. Well, closing it out, Chuck, we're going to put the links below this episode, wherever it is, everywhere that it is, Rio Blanco and you. What's the best place for someone to check you out, maybe get in touch, reach out to you, say hello, say thanks, ask a question, something like that?
Yeah, definitely. We have a podcast that we do every Thursday live, myself and my guys from Rio. We do it live on our Facebook pages and our YouTube channel and all that stuff. We always love questions from people that are watching that. It's Keeping It Rio. You can reach me on Facebook or, Chuck at rioblanco.roofing.com. I'm pretty easy to find. I like to keep myself out there in front of the public for that top of mind awareness. So pretty simple to get a hold of. Chuck Allen on Facebook or any of the Rio Blanco pages, and you can definitely find me all over them. So anybody that wants to talk, I'm always available. I love to answer questions and help people, regardless of your experience or, whether we've ever even met in person. Anybody watching, if you ever have anything that I can help you with, feel free to give me a call or, look me up and connect.
Awesome, Chuck. Well, thank you so much. I'm sure everyone watching or listening has learned a lot. I've learned a lot. Thanks so much for sharing. It's clear that you're passionate about what you do, passionate about the industry and your team, and really anyone that you're able to come in contact with. So thank you very much. I'm excited to continue to watch your journey unfold.
Yeah, Joe, I appreciate you having me on. This was a huge honor for me. I was kind of joking about a week or so ago when you had Chuck Toki on, and I said, ask him when you're going to have Chuck Allen on your show. And hey, here we are. If you never ask, the answer is always no. I appreciate the opportunity. This is a pretty big one for our industry. So getting some eyes on myself and just having the opportunity to chat for an hour was great. I appreciate that very much.
Oh, yeah. And I appreciate you being on. It's not a favor having you on by any means. And let's just go back kind of behind the curtain on that just for a minute. And again, you put in the work in advance. And I know that you comment and you share some of my content because you find it valuable, but you did that in advance. And then there's the post about Chuck Toki, and you're like, kind of joking around. And then I'm like, you know what, that would be great. And selfishly for this podcast, I like to have guests on who also have an audience who are going to share it out so we can kind of cross-pollinate audiences. We do have some guests on the show who aren't very active on social media at all, and they're not out there sharing it, and that's completely fine because they're bringing value in their own way as well. But yeah, again, you put in the work, you put yourself out there, you've got content out there. I knew that this would be an awesome interview because you're not shy, you like to share. So, just trying to impart a final lesson, I guess, on the audience, like do the work and those opportunities will arise. And you'll get, fortunate, you'll get lucky, doors will open. But don't expect those things to happen without putting in the work. So final lesson there, and we'll sign off. Thanks so much, Chuck.
Yes, sir. Thank you.